What is going on, everybody? Been a diehard Pistons fan since '03 and starting to get cautiously optimistic about this Pistons team. Unfortunately, the Pistons just dropped a game to the Chicago Bulls by a score of 122 to 112. That brings our Pistons to 7-9 on the season, 2 games under 500. In this video, we're going to go through and highlight a few of their performances from tonight, and then just talk about where I think we can get better, kind of what cost us this game, and just some general team notes. So the first player I do want to highlight tonight is going to be Cade. He finishes the game with 26 points to go along with 6 rebounds and 10 assists. That stat line is pretty solid for Cade, but more importantly, where I was impressed is the fact that he was 4 of 7 on 3 and only had 3 turnovers. All in all, despite the loss, I think Cade played a pretty good game tonight. He was -5 in plus minus, which doesn't always tell a whole full story, but I think that by watching the game, that does check out because the Bulls did the better half of their damage while Cade was off the floor. So the second player that I do want to discuss is going to be Malik Beasley. Malik Beasley has impressed me so much. I'm so happy that we signed him this offseason because tonight he finished with 21 points, 8 of 19 shooting, and he is just starting to really prove himself as one of the more impactful players on this team. It has been 6 games in a row now where Malik Beasley has made at least 3 3-pointers and had 15 points. So even in Tim Hardaway's absence and return, Malik Beasley has been able to provide that floor spacing and shooting ability. And again, even though we lost tonight, I felt like Beasley played a pretty good game. So the third player I want to talk about and highlight is going to be Jalen Duren. First of all, before we get too far into this, happy birthday to Jalen Duren, as he did turn 21 years old today. And this was kind of a hard game to evaluate for Jalen Duren because his box score was incredible. He had 15 points to go along with 22 rebounds, 12 of which were offensive rebounds, and 7 of 13 from the floor. So as far as the box score goes, Jalen Duren did play incredible from that aspect, and those 12 offensive rebounds is something that no matter how you get them, it is very impactful in a positive way on the game. However, on the flip side of that, there was some issues with not only Jalen Duren, but also Isaiah Stewart tonight in containing Nikola Vucevic and the stretch 5 offense that the Bulls ran for the better half of the game. Vuce finished the game with 29 points and 11 rebounds. He was 6 of 8 from the 3-point line, and if that doesn't sound bad enough, it probably looked worse than it even sounds on the stat sheet because, yes, Vuce was 6 of 8 from the 3-point line, but it felt like every single one of those attempts were left wide open due to Jalen Duren or Isaiah Stewart being pretty deep in drop coverage and really not able to recover in a good amount of time. And not only that, once they finally did start to close out on him, it just caused all sort of issues, pulling those guys out of the paint. Not only Jalen Duren, but Isaiah Stewart as well, just caused a lot of issues for the Pistons in general. And this is something that has been a trend pretty much all year. Any teams that have a center that can pop out to the 3-point line just kind of puts a whole wrench in our defensive scheme that has, for the most part, been impressive for the first half of the year here. But these teams that are able to run 5 out, and they were even able to do it when Jalen Smith came off of the bench, just makes our defense look like a completely different unit and really kind of exposes the flaws defensively of Jalen Duren and sometimes even Isaiah Stewart, who you would think is more mobile and should be able to get out and do a better job of defending a spread out floor. But tonight really didn't work either way. But not to get too far in the weeds on that, Jalen Duren did still have what I would consider to be a very good game for a 21-year-old for the most part. And I think that's the biggest takeaway, right? Is yes, the Pistons as a team and Jalen Duren did struggle to guard that 5-out offense from the Bulls, but he's only 21, just turned 21, and there is a lot of positive takeaways, even from this game specifically, like his offensive rebounding. So I'm not at all too worried or too excited to get anywhere close to even thinking about giving up on Jalen Duren. So outside of that, the Bulls really were able to take advantage of us in the fourth quarter, particularly once Zach LaVine got on a heater and got rolling. I would say that that was probably our second pitfall on defense tonight, even though they did play what I would consider to be decent enough defense on Zach LaVine in the fourth quarter. He just made some difficult all-star level shots as he was 7 of 14 from 3 in the game. But I think that there is one player that will be returning to the lineup soon that could potentially help situations like that, and that will be Ausar Thompson. I have no clue when Ausar is going to be back on the floor and be ready to start playing again, but it could be any day now, and I think that he could potentially be super helpful in situations like they got themselves in tonight, where Zach LaVine was just on a heater. We have had a couple games now where these primary scoring guards like LaMelo, Trae Young, or Zach LaVine tonight have really been able to start to heat up and get off on us. And I think that once Ausar gets back, he's going to be the best option of potentially counteracting moments like tonight where Zach LaVine just gets on an absolute heater. So really excited to see Ausar get back. I don't know when that will be, but hopefully sooner than later. And I really hope that him getting back onto the floor is a seamless transition, because we could definitely use him for situations like guarding Zach LaVine when he is on a burner. But all in all, just kind of want to mention to everyone, try not to panic and zoom out a little bit. I know that, like myself, I'm sure you were eager for the Pistons to have a chance to get to 500 tonight and be 8-8 on the year. Of course, unable to do that, putting us at 7-9, but that's really not a bad thing, and probably better than most people expected where the Pistons would be at this point in the year. I think that something really positive to think about and take away from this is the fact that the Pistons were not only down 10 early in this game, but went down 10 multiple times. And in those positions are the exact positions where last year's team would have just rolled over and would have made for an early night. But every game, even if they do have a kind of rough stretch, they always seem to bounce back and make things interesting. So I think that despite the loss, there's still a lot to be excited about and happy about for this Pistons team. And if you're really worried about the Pistons getting to that 500 mark like they had the possibility to do tonight, I think that they could do it by the end of the week, because the next team on the schedule is the Hornets, who are under 500 themselves, and the Orlando Magic, who will still be without Paolo. So definitely some opportunity here to bounce back and potentially get to 9-9 and to that 500 mark on the year, and we'll be excited to see if they can do so. So let me know what you guys think, and we'll catch up soon.